The Galactic Academy's Cultural Preservation Hall buzzed with anticipation as students from 17 different species gathered for Professor Zelthor's most prestigious assignment. The towering Zentari professor, his crystalline skin refracting the ambient light into rainbow patterns, addressed the assembly with characteristic solemnity. For your final project, his voice resonated through translation implants. You will recreate a piece of ancient armor from your species' warrior past. Authenticity is paramount. You have 6 standard cycles. Around the hall, students murmured excitedly. The Krell delegate immediately began sketching ceremonial shell plating. The Mothkai representative pulled up holographic references to their species' decorative wing guards, artifacts so ancient they existed only in archaeological databases. In the back row, Susan Martinez sat next to Lucas Chen, both humans enrolled in the Academy's xenoanthropology program. They exchanged a glance, that particular look humans shared when they knew something others didn't. This should be interesting, Lucas muttered. Susan raised her hand. Professor, quick clarification. When you say ancient, what's the time frame we're working with? Zelthor's sensory nodes flickered with approval at the question. Excellent inquiry, Miss Martinez. We define ancient as armor no longer in active military use. Ceremonial pieces are acceptable if they represent genuine warrior traditions. Lucas leaned toward Susan. So, cleaned or bloodstained? She snorted, drawing confused looks from nearby students. Let's not give them heart attacks on day 1. Over the following weeks, the Cultural Preservation Hall transformed into a showcase of galactic history. The Krell student meticulously crafted replica shell armor that their species had worn 15,000 years ago, before they evolved past physical warfare. The Valdrine representative created an elegant energy dispersion suit from schematics dating back 8 millennia. Each species presented armor that had long since passed into legend, beautiful, historical, and utterly impractical by modern standards. Then there were the humans. Susan and Lucas had been conspicuously quiet, working in their assigned corner behind privacy screens. Rumors circulated. Some students speculated they were recreating medieval plate armor. Others suggested Roman gladiator equipment or perhaps samurai gear. On presentation day, every species showcased their ancient heritage with pride. The Krell student explained how their ancestors wore ceremonial shells during peace negotiations, not battles. The Mothkai described wing guards used in ritual dances that symbolized their species' pacifist enlightenment 10,000 years prior. Professor Zelthor seemed pleased. Wonderful work, everyone. It's remarkable how our species have evolved beyond violent conflict. Now, Miss Martinez and Mr. Chen, please present humanity's ancient armor. The privacy screens retracted, the hall fell silent. Susan stood beside a complete set of IOTV body armor, improved, outer tactical vest covered in desert camouflage patterns. Next to it, Lucas had assembled full modern combat gear, ballistic plates, helmet with night vision mount, tactical pouches, and a hydration system. This, Susan began, her voice steady, is standard infantry body armor that my grandfather wore. Manufactured 2087, used in the resource wars. I got it from his storage unit in Texas. Lucas gestured to his display. And this is my uncle's combat loadout. He retired from active service last year. It's currently standard issue for multiple Earth military branches. The silence deepened, taking on weight. Professor Zelthor's crystalline surface dimmed. There must be some misunderstanding. These cannot qualify as ancient. They appear modern. They're not in active use by us personally, Susan explained carefully. And technically my grandfather's armor is over 30 years old. But you're right, they're not ancient by our standards. Lucas continued. The actual ancient stuff, medieval plate armor, Roman lorica segmentata, Greek hoplite gear, we have those too. Museums are full of them. But they're from wars we fought with swords and spears. How long ago? Asked the Valdrine student, their voice barely a whisper. My grandfather's armor? 32 years, Susan said. Medieval plate armor? About 600 to 800 years. Roman armor? 2,000 years. Bronze Age equipment? 4,000 years. The math sank in like a stone. The Krell student stammered. But we haven't had warriors in 15,000 years. You're saying humans were fighting wars just centuries ago? Are fighting wars, Lucas corrected quietly. These aren't museum pieces from a forgotten era. Every human civilization has continuous military history right up to now. We've never stopped. Professor Zelthor manipulated his datapad with trembling appendages, accessing human historical records. His crystalline form flickered through a spectrum of colors indicating distress. The Napoleonic Wars, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, Afghanistan, the Resource Wars, and hundreds more, Susan confirmed. Those are just the big ones from the last few centuries. Every continent, every era, we have detailed records of tactics, equipment, casualties. But your species achieved spaceflight, the Mothkai protested. Surely you evolved past violence. Lucas shook his head. We achieved spaceflight during a global Cold War. Two superpowers pointing enough nuclear weapons at each other to destroy our biosphere several times over. We made it to our moon in the middle of that standoff. Susan picked up her grandfather's helmet, running her fingers over a dent in the Kevlar. This saved his life during the Las Vegas siege, shrapnel from a drone strike. He was 43. Came home, raised a family, died peacefully at 97. But for 30 years he kept this armor in his closet, cleaned and maintained just in case. Just in case of what? Zelthor asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. Just in case humanity needed him again, Lucas said simply. The hall remained silent as students processed this revelation. Their ancient armor represented their species' proud evolution beyond conflict, dusty relics of primitive ages before enlightenment. Human armor was handed down from grandfather to granddaughter, still functional, still relevant. Still ready, Professor, Susan said, meeting Zelthor's gaze. You asked if we wanted it cleaned or bloodstained. That was a joke, mostly. But the real question is, do you want us to present the armor we used to wear, or the armor we're still wearing? Professor Zelthor stared at the human combat gear for a long moment. Finally, he spoke, his voice quiet. I believe, Miss Martinez, that you have already answered that question. Both pieces received full marks. As students filed out, conversations erupted, nervous, excited, fearful. The humans remained behind, carefully packing their gear. Think we scared them? Lucas asked. Susan smiled grimly, securing the straps on her grandfather's vest. Good. Better they learn now in a classroom than find out some other way. Outside the hall, the galaxy continued turning, blissfully unaware that among its peaceful species walked a race that had never forgotten how to be warriors, and never would.